Hello boys and brofist to you all. Somebody is hammering somewhere. Somebody has a hammer. It's 5 PM. It's gone 5 PM and someone is hammering somewhere. I apologise. This microphone should not pick the noise up. But if you see me going like this, it's because somebody's hammering somewhere. So annoying. Why would you be hammering now? Why? Why would you be doing that? Woot! Awesome. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. Everybody's looking fantastic. It is Monday, of course. It is Monday, the craziest day at Preach Gaming. The craziest day for everybody in the globe, not just me. Monday tends to be that day when the week restarts. It's our weekly reset, but there's no epic rewards at the end of it. Just the prospect of working for another 5 days. Mondays are pretty shit for everybody. Mondays are generally known as the crappiest days of the week. I would love to be at a stage where I can ignore Monday. I would rather work Sunday and ignore Monday. Being self-employed, it generally doesn't make a difference. But it's just the fact that on a Monday I can give it the big middle finger. But that is not how this world works, especially in the interwebs and all that kind of good stuff. How has my day been? Well, thank you for asking, you wonderful people. My day has been like this. Roller coasters, up and down. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the one thing that really ruins MMOs. People ruin MMOs, and I experienced quite a lot of that today. Let's talk about some gaming news. Gaming news. You're going to like this, actually. Some really good gaming news that came out over the weekend. The Black Mesa free fan-made game, the remake of Half-Life 1, been made by some fans in full HD. It looks glorious. Is scheduled to release September 14th. September 14th, that is going to be coming out, and it is free. It is a free mod. Awesome. It's actually fucking fantastic. There's been so much poking about Half-Life and Half-Life 3 going on recently that it kind of bothers me. It bothers me because it keeps getting my hopes up. It keeps getting my pubes tingling. It keeps making me think, what if? I hate that question. There is nothing worse in this universe than what if. Some people look back on things in the past that they could have done nothing about and still cannot do anything about, and they ask themselves what if, usually in the light of some tragedy or some really awful event or some circumstance which they've ended up in which is generally bad, and then they ask themselves what if. I instantly say, fuck what if. You can't do anything about it. Forget what if. What if is the most useless question in the whole fucking universe, and it does nothing but annoy you. But this Half-Life 3 stuff keeps popping up. We found files with Half-Life 3 written in them in the new source stuff. And now this has been okay to be released. Now, the interesting thing about this free fan-made mod is that it's not the entire game. It's only up to the Lambda Core level of the game. It's about 10 hours of play. 8, 9, 10 hours of play of the game. And they still haven't remade Zen, which is the alien homeworld. If you don't know anything about Half-Life, let me know. If you don't know anything about it, I will do a years behind on Half-Life and Half-Life 2. I would be more than happy to replay those games and summarise them up for you guys, so you can bring yourselves up to speed. So that's September 14th. Watch out for that one. The other one is Colonial Marines, the new Aliens game, has got a new multiplayer mode that they're really bigging up as being the function of the game. It's basically Left 4 Dead, but with you 4 Marines going into a world with aliens in it. It could be fucking awesome. I'm really looking forward to picking up that game and getting all the ballers together, and we can play some 4-player aliens defending ourselves as Colonial Marines. That should be totally kick-ass. I'm really looking forward to that. And another MMO news, Secret World. Secret World's in bad shape. Poor Secret World. I know some of the guys in the chat were going on about Secret World. Will we play it? Secret World is down already after 1 month to 200,000 people. They have put out a statement saying it's fine, there's more stuff to come. I translate that as, please don't leave. Please. We're going to just have to fire everybody. The company's going to shut down. They've already laid off half the staff for Secret World at Funcom. It's really bad. They've sent out a big message saying we're far from done. There's great things coming for Secret World. We're going to bring it back to life. We all know that once the mass exodus occurs from an MMO, or if an MMO just doesn't pick up, it tends to be the end of that MMO. That's just the way it rolls. People are very fickle on the internet. They have one bash at it, and if they don't like it, they never pick it up again. In general, that is generally what happens. So, if you're a fan of Secret World, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. I know it seems like, oh yeah, get into the marketing. It's far from done. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so cool. Probably not. But I translate that as, please don't leave. We kind of need you. Otherwise, we're going to have to shut the fucking company down. That would suck. That would really suck. So let's get into today's events. I had a really fun day. Considering we've done all the guides now for all the stuff before Mists of Pandaria and before everything is actually balanced to completion. We're seeing balancing things being done every day by Blizzard. They're tweaking, they're swapping, they're changing, they're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. That's fine. So there's no point in me doing any more updated guides in terms of what's the best spec, how should you gem, all that kind of stuff just isn't finalized yet, so I'm not going to do it. It's a waste of my time. The guides that I've done for Mists of Pandaria are everything that is about the core mechanics of the play. That is what I always try to instill, is that is relatively not going to change too much. That's the core style of play. It's not about numbers, it's not really about your gemming or anything like that, or your stats, your reforging. That stuff's yet to come, and anybody trying to force that stuff down your throat right now, it's pretty much in the wrong, because we just don't know how spells are going to be tweaked in these next 4 weeks. So that leaves the option of what are we going to produce on the channel in the next 4 weeks. I have the plan. I had the plan for a little while, and it's pretty cool. It's fun things to do in patch 5.04, because nothing really matters anymore. It's a whole world of who gives a shit. Nothing really matters whatsoever. Who cares? It doesn't matter. The game's done. Cataclysm is essentially finished. Now they're just polishing up things for Mists of Pandaria. But in that time period, there are a lot of really fun things you can do. And I've done one today. Of course, coming from the Warrior Workshop, it made sense that I did something fun with my Prot Warrior. And I found it. There is an interesting thing going on with Revenge. Some of you will know what Revenge is. Some of you without Prot Warriors will not. But if you do have a Prot Warrior, why don't you go and find yourself an instance with a decent melee pack in it and see what happens when you press Revenge a lot of times. You might find something interesting going on there. There will be a video released in the next couple of hours showing you exactly what I did with that little fun thing with Revenge today. It will probably be fixed. It will probably be fixed, but every class has some sort of unique little fun thing going on. So I'm going to be looking into loads of little fun things for you guys to try out. And I'm also going to release a little bit of a gold tip tomorrow that Ghosty put me onto. He discovered a very interesting way of making gold at the moment. So we're going to be doing a video on that tomorrow, and some more mod stuff coming out for you as well. And some PvP stuff. Lots to be done, lots of work going on. So all very, very cool. Questions have been a little bit slack. I'm getting tons and tons of questions regarding stuff with 5.04. Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? Should I be doing this? I'm not going to talk about that. I keep saying every daily, stop sending me that stuff. Stop sending me that stuff. I don't want to see it. It's pointless me answering your question. I'm just wasting your time. We did have a workshop yesterday. That's all been up. There's been loads of content up for you for today. And you guys took really well to that. We had one of the largest audiences we've ever had for a live show. And that was fantastic. It was absolutely amazing to see so many of you come out and chill through a workshop. And the workshops are going to really pick up in Mists of Pandaria when it really matters. It's very difficult for me to get across to people, and I'm not insulting anybody, but a lot of people on the internet don't like to pay attention. So when they see a workshop on a Prot Warrior on a certain fight, they assume it's only for a Prot Warrior on a certain fight. Regardless of how many times in the show I say, hey, you can apply this to any class, to any fight. Look at the basics and the philosophies I'm teaching you. I'm going to be doing another tanking philosophies video, which is sort of like what's going on in my mind. I'm going to try and vocalize, instead of being sort of like a entertaining sort of approach to the video, I'm literally going to be talking about what's going on in my mind while I'm tanking something, so you guys can get on board with that. That is one of the main reasons I was tanking today, until I discovered a little bit of fun with Revenge, and then I just had a whale of a time. At the beginning of the show, I said the people who ruin MMOs are people. Not everybody, of course. There are brilliant, fantastic people. But there are also complete and utter assholes. Really horrible, horrific people. And the guise of anonymity and cross-realm stuff and all that gives them free power over you. And I hate that. I really detest it. It's one of the worst things about MMOs, is when generally horrific people who get their entire horrific personality amplified by the fact that they're anonymous. No repercussions can happen to them of any relevant value whatsoever, and you can never really say anything back because they're gone in the next 20 minutes anyway. While I was running my dungeons, I wanted to demonstrate some stuff with Revenge, and the new dungeons aren't great for that. In order to really pull off some impressive stuff, I needed big melee packs. Casters don't really make it work too well. I needed big packs of melee. I went back to the old heroics. I tell you what, which is fucking hilarious. Those heroics are so much more difficult than the new heroics. is unbelievable. I had so many fresh memories of early Cataclysm. Those have been out, what, a year? How long have we had Cataclysm for? How long have we had Cataclysm for? Like, it's got to be 12 months, right? If not, something like that. 18 months. 18 months these heroics have been in the game. People just still cannot possibly cope with those heroics. I joined 2 out of a possible 12 heroics today at the actual beginning of the dungeon. The rest of them were midway through the dungeon, and all with the classic cliche bosses. Let's test the audience. Let's put these 100-odd people to the test. I joined Blackrock Caverns. At which boss did I join at? Din 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 din. Booyah! Hazure! Oh, look at everybody flying in there. The second boss, right? The second boss in Blackrock Caverns is just a fucking nightmare for a pug. It's so difficult, and I have no idea why. I can't, no, that's a lie. I'm just being a prick there. I do know why. It totally is something new. It's something you never deal with while you're leveling. Why would I say that? What a fucking stupid thing to say. Look, I'm an idiot sometimes. I totally know why it's difficult for some people. You've leveled, you've got some gear, you're going into a heroic, and it's like, this is a complete game changer. You have a debuff to manage, and people are like, huh, what? You have to interrupt a channeled spell by standing in it. Yeah, I get that, but you have to swap out at like 80. It starts stacking up. In the corner of your screen, especially if you're using a Blizzard standard UI, shit's fucked up. It's right up in the corner, and it's like, I've never really had to look at that. I don't even follow my debuffs while leveling, because they generally just disappear after a few moments. And then they watch this, and then you see this happen. Alright, I'm ready, right? Okay, I've got my cooldowns ready, I've watched my Mike Preach WoW video, I'm fucking gonna smash this boss to bits. What? I've got to stand there. Wait a minute, whoa, 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 back the fuck up. I have to stand where? You're on the right one. Look, I've marked it with a star. You've got to stand and block that beam. Okay, I think I can do that. Okay, I think I can do that. Feeling good. Flex the fingers. Go in. And then they're like, right, I'm still going to do DPS though, right? Yeah, you're a DPS class, so you still need to DPS, but you just need to stand there and then pop out 80 debuffs before it reaches 100, okay? And then when it resets, go back in. That's a lot of information. That is a fucking shit ton of information for somebody who's relatively new to the game or has just generally not paid attention to this kind of shit before. Not only have they got to DPS, because they're a DPSer, they already have that in their brain. That's like number one. Now they have to move to a certain position and then move in and out of that position. And it's like, okay. And then they move in and they're all ready to go. They've got the guns out, you know, they've got the minigun ready. And they move in and stand in the beam and they just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then they're counting it. They're just stood there like this. And I was watching a guy do this. I did fraps it, but I'm not going to release it because I spoke to him afterwards and like spoke to him for like 25 minutes. But he was like, 75, 76, 77, 80. Dives out of the beam. And then he dives out of the beam and he's like, I did it. Unloads. He's like, oh, motherfuckers. You know what I mean? He's going fucking balls to the wall. Totally forgets to stand back in the beam. Guess what happens? Ad evolves. Preacher was on the case. Was tanking the shit out of it. But I could totally... That was the boss, okay? So you guys guessed that completely, which is awesome. Grimbatal. Grimbatal. Which boss did I come in at Grimbatal. Dun 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 dun. Oh, Mr. Besworth! Like a gangster. I'm surprised so many of you are saying first. About a 50-50 split between first and second. Third boss. Is it Valiona or Thralian? It's one of those two. I think it's Valiona. It might be Thralian. It's one of the two dragons, right? That boss, again, is a game changer for new players. That beam that comes... It's like... You could tell... You know, I'm always telling you about your UI, right? I'm always telling you need to be looking in the middle of your screen, not down here. You can instantly see people who are just like... Buttons. And their whole screen is like this big, and they see this part. They're just like, that's it. So when that fire elemental spawns, and that giant... red Iron Man style laser beam is tunneling into their chest, they're just like, I can't even see that shit, man. My shit's on cooldown, bro. You know, I'm busy. Boom! Headshot! Their fucking life explodes and is taken from them in a fucking second. Oh my god. They're just like, I'm doing really good DPS, man. Shit is boom! Fucking mushroom cloud all over their head. Absolute crackers. Love it. I thought it was hilarious. Obviously, as a prot warrior, I got them through it. They'd wipe there, their tank had left. They'd probably wiped a few times. But as a prot warrior, I can stun it and kill it myself. So I was charging off, killing it, and all that kind of stuff. Which then makes you feel kind of good about what's going on. Which other ones did I do? Let's do one more. Oh, okay. This is going to be dead easy. Dead Mines. I did Dead Mines because Dead Mines has millions of melee mobs, so I wanted to get in there. Which boss did I join at Dead Mines? Dead Mines. Do 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 do. Oh, no one yet. Yeah, Danny Ateel. Danny Ateel caught it like a fucking gangster. Of course, it's the one. The Harvester. Where somebody, some righteous hero must stand and be counted, must rise to the top like a hero, like the Dark Knight Rises, yeah? And has to take control of a mob and press 2 buttons. Forget about it. Forget about it. They told me they'd wiped 5 times to this boss, and whoever got hold of the thing just kind of floated around like a cork in the sea. He's like... Boom! The mobs are killing people everywhere. You know, and I joined at that boss and I was like, oh man, they brought back so many memories because it's really cool to see that these bosses are really unforgiving and they haven't made up for it. Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. Just before we go slightly onto question time, so start posting your questions right here. Dat Reaper, oil the damn chair. I will oil the chair. Dispel. I had a conversation with Ghost last night. Obviously, he was here for the live stream. And Ghost was asking me about Dispel. Dispel's been changed to 8 seconds. Let me just check something real quickly. Okay, the light's not... Okay. I'm going to have to change the light. I'm going to have to do this. This is so difficult to do. Okay. Oh, thank God. Okay. So, certain things happen with Dispel. It got a big cooldown and all that kind of stuff. And also things that naturally Dispel got removed, like Shield Slam. You have to glyph it to Dispel. I didn't miss it that much until Stone Core Heroic. And last question of the day for the live audience, because it's not very good at viewing for you on YouTube. Which boss was an absolute nightmare because of the Dispel changes? I want to hear it. I want to see it. Yeah. Let me know. Come on. Does anybody know his name? There we go. Right, I'm giving it to Stab and Grab. Stab and Grab called you all out. Everybody got the correct boss, but nobody remembered his name except for Stab and Grab. Stab and Grab was there like a baller. Osrook. Osrook is like the biggest pain in the ass now for so many people. Not only are people really crap at dispelling in general, but now I wasn't able to remove the shield myself because I didn't have Shield Slam glyphed. That shield was not getting removed off Osrook at all. The whole party was wiping themselves out like constantly. It literally came down to me and the Rogue. Me and the Rogue killed it from about 40% onwards. The whole caster team just completely smashed to pieces. The healer in general never knows how to deal with that reflective shield. It's a kind of an advanced mechanic, that, to be reflecting a DPS spell back onto yourself intentionally and watching the meters and healing is a kind of advanced play. Top-notch players will tell you it's easy mode, but for an average player that is a kind of advanced maneuver that we haven't had to do in the past. But so now we've got this thing where the reflective shield just isn't being removed. Mages, of course, don't realise to remove it. I can't remove it anymore. I think we had a priest, and the priest wasn't removing it because he was like totally panicked because he was frozen and shit all the time, and he didn't really know how to deal with that situation. So the whole caster team completely wiped out. I nearly died, but coped with it, you know, like you would expect. Brilliant stuff. The old school heroics, fantastic stuff, really cool. And I'm going to show you some sort of mechanics on that on a video on, I want to say Wednesday. I'm going to spend about a day or so editing it together. I want it to be one of my bigger videos that has lots of little clips and stuff like that, which takes a lot longer to edit. But I think it'll be worthwhile overall when we move into Mists of Pandaria. So that's going to be pretty awesome as well. Let's take any questions we've got here. We're doing a relatively short daily today. I have to go and see to Ben. Ben, just before the daily started, I'll tell you while the questions keep coming. Ben has been really good at being left on his own. Very difficult for a puppy to be left on his own without destroying your house. We had some issues very early when Ben was very small, with him sort of chewing everything. Now he's teethed. All his teeth fell out. Over the course of about 5 days, we found teeth everywhere. A little bit scary at first, but it's completely normal. Dog's teeth, puppies' teeth, and all his teeth came out, and now he's got his new teeth are coming through. And in celebration of his new teeth, I heard a noise today. And I was speaking to Emma about this just before she came home. I had a really, really positive thought in my head while I was working that Ben had got really good at being left on his own. And then I heard like a sound. I'd run downstairs, drop my headphones immediately, run downstairs. I was in the middle of a dungeon. All I see is my carpet in the front room completely ripped up near the kitchen. Oh my, I was so angry I couldn't speak. It's probably cost me, it's going to cost me, I can't replace it now, but it's going to cost me around about £500 to repair that sound. Because it just, the carpet is ruined in that corner. It's just one piece of carpet. Ben absolutely wrecked it. I just remembered as well, my God, my head's not on straight today. I'm sorry I just asked you for your questions, but I did mention that people ruin MMOs. This was in fact my main topic of today, and that's why I've touched on it twice. But I do tend to go off on a rant. I had some really horrible experiences with assholes today. And although I was having great fun with my revenge thing and filming lots of stuff, I actually got the new graphics card in my machine, and my FPS in WoW was 160 something, and while frapsing I was getting 98 FPS. So the videos are going to actually be much clearer than normal, which is cool. So I was filming and having fun, and then I ran into just various assholes. And I actually got into 2 altercations of note. I did a lot of heroics today, around about 12 I think. And in 2 of those I actually got into a verbal altercation with people, which is very, very unlike me. But I felt these guys were such assholes, they needed to be told that you're a fucking asshole. Lost City of the Tol'vir. Lost City of the Tol'vir is a particularly easy instance. For some unknown reason, which I was baffled by, I queued as a tank, but I still had the damage thing selected. Anybody who's ever been a tank knows that you never get in as a tank, as a DPS, if you're queuing as a tank. I did. I got in as a DPS. So a prop paladin was tanking. I switched up to DPS, and which was kind of ridiculous. It wasn't what I wanted to film. I had a very specific reason to go to that dungeon, and now I couldn't film it. So I was kind of like, should I leave? They'll have to find another DPS. That isn't too hard. But I thought, no, you know what? I haven't actually DPS'd in 5.04 yet. I've done loads on beta, so I wasn't that interested in doing it for some sort of testing reasons. I knew how it played. So I thought, you know, I'll give it a go. Why not? So I did some DPS, and I was doing sort of 60-70% of the damage, which is expected with my gear level on my warrior and the fact that I'd been experienced playing the new changes for quite a while now, around 3 months. So I was tearing it up, which was fine. There was a Shadow Priest. Now, you guys can probably tell me if this is relevant. He was from Stormscale, and he was really, really struggling. I don't want to say bad. I really don't want to say bad. He was really struggling to do any damage. Now, the side effect of this is I had a part to playing that because I was really chewing the mobs to pieces. And Shadow Priests aren't great at really specific instant type damage, big bursty damage. That's not generally how they work. So I was tearing the place a new a-hole, which is, you know, I can't help that. That is just what my gear level is like, and that's how much health those mobs have. I was killing them really quickly. And the Shadow Priest damage was coming out around 8k, which at his gear level, I think it's about 3.6 or something like that. I was fine with that. He was the lowest damage source, but I was kind of making that happen, which maybe played on my mind a little bit. The Hunter was doing 10k DPS. The Hunter should have been doing more. With multi-shot and stuff like that, that's not that... You can do quite a lot of little bursty damage. I'm not saying I was walking up to mobs and they were dying by any means. That is not the case. So the Hunter should have been higher than that. His gear level was pretty good. He was more than geared to go to the new heroics. He had quite a few epics and so on. And our healer was also a priest, who was fine. As far as I could tell, no one was dying, but I was killing things really quickly. And so we were moving through the dungeon, and the Hunter and the priest start openly berating the Shadow Priest. And the guy responds like, what is wrong with you guys? I mean, really giving him shit. Loads of shit about his play. Your DPS is so fucking bad. Always people from Stormscale. Stormscale is notorious for these kind of players. And this guy's, what are you talking about? I don't understand. He said, I know my DPS isn't great, but these things aren't living long enough. And they were like, no, you're just fucking shit, blah, blah, blah. And they really started giving it to him. So I was holding my tongue for a little bit. And then they decided, you know what? We're going really fast through this dungeon. So we can have some fun. And the Hunter's like, yeah, I'll start misdirecting everything to the Shadow Priest. And I was like, really? That's just so unnecessary. And the Shadow Priest's like, I can fade. So he was obviously a player who knew what to do. He's like, I can fade. It makes no sense. And then the prop Paladin was like, what's going on? And he broke into this big conversation. I just said, you're both pathetic. I said, his DPS is fine. I'm killing things too quickly. And then they said to me quite openly, haha, fuck you, Joker. Smiley face, which, you know, in general doesn't make any sense. That's like someone going, ha 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 ha. It's like complete bananas. And they did. They started misdirecting the Shadow Priest all the time. And he just kept fading them when they got near him. And then ultimately they just moved to someone else. I charged them anyway. You know what I mean? As soon as they saw him misdirect them, I was in there. I was thunderclapping and stuff like that. It was no big deal. I was killing them before they could possibly kill me. And then I pointed out and said, you guys are really sad. I said, this is really unnecessary. Let's just finish the dungeon. Because they were still back and forth berating the Shadow Priest. And then they decided to pick on me by misdirecting me. No, that wasn't the smug grin. It was like, what do you expect to achieve with a warrior in this gear who can put a shield on? And they were trying to misdirect so much stuff to me. But it's Lost City of the Tol'vir. I was like, dude, if you misdirect them to me, I'll just kill them quicker. I don't get what you're trying to achieve. And he's like, lol, you scrub. But one of them, of course, was the healer. He's like, well, I'm not going to heal you anymore. I'm like, my God. How did I get in this situation? Really? These guys are doing no damage. So I said, fine. Me and the Shadow Priest will stop doing any damage to them. Here goes the longest fucking fight in history. Like 17 minutes. But out of pure sheer stubbornness, which I don't usually fall for, I just did no damage. And neither did the Shadow Priest. We just chilled at the back. Shadow Priest was bubbling, me and him, and just firing a pair of mending between us both. Big deal, right? And it took so long that the priest ran out of mana, and then his hunter friend died. And as soon as that happened, the prop pally was fine. He wasn't taking any damage. Then them two ran out of mana, and then me and the Shadow Priest went in and killed the boss, and then laughed at them, blah, blah, blah. It just got so childish. I really wish I wasn't a part of it, but I hate people openly berating other players like that, right in front of their face. You would never do that in real life. You would generally... Got a bit of spit on my lip. You would never do that in real life. I've met some immense assholes in my life. They would still never act that way. And when they do, it would just completely explode into some awful situation. You just do not act that way. But the anonymity gives it them. The next instance was the Stone Core. Stone Core, we killed the last boss. The tank trinket drops. Now, hilariously, it's actually an upgrade for my prot warrior. I've just had very bad luck with trinkets. It was the Leaden Despair. So I just threw a need on it. My group was the Rogue. Rogue, Priest, Mage, and a Warlock, I think. The Rogue needed it and won it. And I didn't notice because of the way the new looting system works. It's not easy to actually see who won what. You get these big flashy things. I won like a shard and it went shard in your face. And I was like, and then the Rogue said specifically in chat, do you want to do more, guys? Like, you know, the tank's pretty cool. Like happens to me in general, you know, and happens to you guys after you've practiced a bit. Do you want to do more? Let's do more. Tank, question mark, question mark. I'm like, where's the trinket? And I'm like, looking in my bag, I'm like, I can't see the trinket. But who else could have needed it? Bizarre. And so I was scrolling through, and then I see the Rogue one. I'm like, dude, why did you need the trinket? You're a Rogue. I don't care about loot, but I'm like, why have you needed a tank trinket? He's like, so I don't die while leveling in Mists of Pandaria. And I'm trying to work out, and I went, are you trying to, is this, oh, are you joking or what? And he says, for Halard? Does any of you guys know what that means? For Halard? And then the Hunter started saying it. Was it Hunter? The Mage, maybe. And then I saw they were from the same guild, and they were saying for Halard. And then they started spamming it in caps all the way down the chat, and I was like, whoa. I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. And they were, I thought, is he joking me because he's targeting me? And he's like, no, I don't want die in Mists of Pandaria. Something crazy like that. I was like, whatever. I am out of it. That shit is crazy. But they were obviously winding me up. That was what I got from it during this conversation, is that they had done it intentionally because they were both targeting me and doing this for hard. Maybe they knew who I was, I don't know. Bizarre, bizarre, bizarre. Any questions? I'm not going to repeat that, Lacosette. I'm not going to repeat that. Okay, let's take a couple of questions. Nobody said anything bad about Stormscale. Nobody knows. Okay. Okay. Elitists ruin the game for you. Well, they ruin the game for everybody. The hilarious thing is, elitists ruin the game for themselves. Because elitists don't get on with anybody. Trust me, they don't. Elitists tend to be in a little room on their own. Really do. Especially real, serious elitists. And I've played with a lot of them. They ruin the game for themselves. They really do. So you can laugh at any elitist. Elitists who are actually really, really good at the game tend to have very little to no friends in game, which isn't like, oh, you sad loser in the corner. It's actually quite sad when you see them try and contribute in some way and nobody gives a fuck whatsoever. Even though they believe they're the master of their universe, they're really not. And then elitists who are terrible at the game, nobody wants to play with. So you've got elitists who people want to play with because they're good at the game and don't want to be around in any way. It's like, oh, the raid's over. Bye, motherfucker. I hate you. And then you've got elitists who are just terrible and you would never invite them anyway. So don't worry about elitists. Their game's shit anyway. Question from Rekka. Preacher Man, I have joined a raiding guild due to your videos. Awesome. And it's all going well. Until... Oh, that's a bad word, bro. Until, that is, the guild recruit 3 new warriors to challenge me for position as a DPS. 3? What is this? America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent? What the fuck? 3? 3 people? I want to know if there's any way I can stand out from the pack. Unfortunately, cheesing is not an option for my guild. Checks Wildlog, sign, fellow baller, rocker. You don't have to sign your message, dude. I can see your name. I don't get it. Why do people sign forum posts when it's obviously on their account? Why is that? I don't get it. Like it's a letter. You know, like they've like inked it. I'm only messing with you, man. I just don't get it. It baffles me. How can you stand out from the pack? Well, just be better. To be the next level. If they're checking World of Logs so heavily, get very into World of Logs. Be the guy who's interrupting more than anybody. I'll tell you, always a smug point with me, because I can, is there's a boss in Mr. Pandaria Beta called the Legacy of the Kings. I think it's called Legacy of the Kings, something along those lines, and there's 4 king guys, and you have to do a shitload of interrupting. My interrupt meter method was like, pa-ching! It was like the biggest erection in the world. Everyone else was way down here. I was cheesing a little bit with disrupting shout, pummel, heroic throw, and so on and so forth, so I had a lot more interrupts than anyone else. Doesn't matter. I'm still the king. You know, that's like, while still getting beat in the DPS, that's me holding on to my grasp of a little moment of glory. But it's the things like that. If they're all the same DPS, you have to be the next level up, don't you? You have to be the guy who's doing all the interrupts. Doing stuff like intervene at the right time and helping people with cooldowns. When they call for a rallying cry, it's your fucking rallying cry that's there. Bring that person. I have the fastest rallying cry in history. Before they even finish rallying, I've already pressed it. I'm already on the case. Awesome. Be that guy. Especially if you can, get onto Mr. Pandaria Beta. Start playing around with the banners. The banners are going to be a really key thing for DPS warriors in the future, okay? You're going to need macros. You're going to need add-ons. You need all sorts of stuff. Tell me when is really good for this. And power auras, if they fix it properly, which is apparently on Wednesday or something, they're going to fix power auras, they say. Because the skull banner rotation is really, really important. It needs to be precise. And don't use it mindlessly. I saw a couple of warriors that I played with who just had it in a rotation. So one skull banner went off, they dropped the other one, although the boss was like moving around, so we weren't getting the benefit of it. For a 3-minute cooldown, for the last 10 seconds, you want benefit for everybody as it's raid-wide. Okay. Breach, since Bladestorm has been buffed, which will be the best I'm not answering any questions about spells and shit before Mr. Pandaria comes. Dragon Roar just got sort of tweaked. Bladestorm might get tweaked next week. It's a waste of my time and yours. Don't worry about it. Nothing matters right now. Just have fun. Have great fun with all the spells. Go with whatever you think looks the most badass. Practice them all. Respec. It costs you like a gold now to switch your talents. Just fuck around, man. Have some fun. Question. When raiding Mr. Pandaria, does the disco playstyle and performance differ enough from Holy that it should be considered for an off-spec? Holy as the main spec. Oh, I assume by disco you mean discipline. From what I can remember, Flair telling me, I want to say Flair, there is the last boss in the Shah of Fear raid. I think she's Queen something something. She's a big bug bitch. I just call her the Bug Queen. She has a bubble thing that the DPS have to stand in. Spirit Shell is mad OP for that. But that was the only instance I can think of where discipline was really, really good. The rest of the time was all holy. That might change though. Always worth keeping a backup disc spec. Unless you're the regular guy they choose to go deeps. Then keep your shadow spec. Doesn't Dragon Roar knock back mobs? Wouldn't that be a pain in the ass in heroics? Yes! And you can't glyph it, you can't change it. It was one of the first things I knew was going to happen in raids and 5-mans is, can you please stop doing that? The answer is no, because it's awesome. And quite frankly, if I could change it, I would, but the knockback isn't too bad. I think they've changed the knockback to half second now. It's a half second knockdown. It still interrupts spells and stuff. It's still pretty useful. It's not like Thunderstorm or fucking Typhoon. It doesn't knock the mobs everywhere. But I totally agree. If something has something that knocks people away in any form, you should be a glyph to stop that happening. But there isn't. Low-tech trolling. Oh. What do you want?
Your mum then.
What?
Your mum came.
She here?
Yeah, I've just sent her away.
Oh. Alright. I'm going to leave you guys. Because there's things going on in my life. Have a great day. And I will see you tomorrow at 5 PM, ballers.